So this morning, I want to run with you real briefly through what worship is, why we worship, and how we worship. Pretty simple. What is worship? Worship, according to the dictionary, is extravagantly bringing yourself to something out of honor and respect and devotion. Like you just love it. And when you think about what that means to worship, do you ever get on your hands and knees in prayer? That's a posture of humility. It's coming before someone or something and saying, I am not worthy to be in your presence, but here I am. It's a posture of if you think of feudal times, the medieval times, it's a posture of coming before someone who has the power and authority to end your life. You kneel and you bow. God has given us life. God is not some feudal dictator. God is this being that is so big and so amazing and so vast that we can't comprehend it. We can't comprehend God any more than a 2 or a 3-year-old can comprehend how a smartphone works. And I'm not talking about like touching the screen. I'm talking about how it beams the internet and how the internal workings are made and how the battery is formed and how the glass is, Gorilla Glass. And there's so much that goes into it, and a child can't comprehend it. And God is even more vast and big than that. And you know what's amazing? You're here because he gave you life. And you're here not because he wants you to bow down before him and grovel, but because he loves you so much. That he's willing to accept humility. But he's giving out empowerment. He wants you to know that his love is not conditional. And that you have freedom. So when we come to worship, when we worship God, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a specific building or a place. It doesn't have to be with specific people. Although there are advantages to congregations and small groups and getting to know one another, because there's community and you can love and be in prayer for and support one another and encourage like God does for us. But coming together in worship is this act of humble acceptance that you're here because God loves you. And before Jesus Christ, there was no knowledge of afterlife. People thought that there was something after this world. They weren't sure. Because nobody who died and was able to bring themselves back. Except Jesus. So the Messiah comes on the scene, and now as Christians we come together and we have a cross and the candles. The candles are so it's really cool if you think about it. Everything we do is kind of like symbolic. The candles the light is brought in, and it's a symbol of the light of God. And then what's even better is the acolytes come up, the little kids come up, and like it's amazing because they do it, and I don't even think they know the sacredness of what they do. But they come up and they light the acolyte stick. They need to come up with a better name for it than that, like the acolyte saber or something. I don't know. They come up and they light the one end, and then they put the candle out, and they put the other candle out, and then they take, if they're doing it right, they take the light out the doors as a symbol of each one of us taking the light of Christ out to the community. When we sing songs of praise. At this service, the formula is for worship in contemporary is praise, pray, and preach. So we come in and we praise, we sing, so most of us sing, and some of us stand in honor and respect with smiles, right? It's great being up here because we have a camera over the door that kind of films me. So when I look at myself in video, or I see what you see, I see, like, if I'm not smiling or I'm frowning or I'm dancing around too much or whatever, I notice it. I'm going to see if Ben can install cameras this way. Because sometimes what I see is challenging, right? Sometimes, so worship is this extravagant giving of yourself, and it's in song, and it's in our offering, it's in our prayer. It's in the proclamation of the word. Did you know, did anybody watch the royal wedding this week? Yeah? You loved it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I had some tears too, but for maybe a different reason. But I'm working on being fully present in my life with people. I'm introverted and I've used it as an excuse for a long time not to be fully present with people, and it's becoming more and more challenging. So I got up. My wife loves that stuff. Denise just loves it. I'm like, Denise, you're getting up at 5 a.m. to watch the royal wedding. She's like, I gotta, she's really excited, and at some point I realized that I really wasn't fully present with her. And then it's even more challenging because you're trying to be fully present with the whole thing that you're watching. And it was powerful. I love weddings, and weddings are powerful in and of themselves. And when the preacher said, he said, 2 people came in love and we all showed up, right? Well, that's the big days are weddings and funerals. And funerals are, I think, even more powerful when everybody shows up. Because there's a huge loss, and the support is amazing. But I'm there with my wife, and I'm getting a little teary-eyed. I'm like, I guess I'm getting fully present. So I was really proud of myself for a moment there. And then I started making fun of this and that. But anyway, which wasn't fully present. That was me putting walls up and the armor on and saying I'm not going to get emotional about this thing. But we all have our own journeys and struggles. What was cool was the church, right? Did you notice the church? Old school church from the top down. They call it cruciform. Do you know that? So cruciform churches from the sky down look like crosses, and they have the little vestibules and everything, and they're intentionally designed that way. And what was really cool too about churches in the old school is, like, if you turned your chairs on this side, you'd have to face this way, and on this side you'd have to face this way. And did you know they were looking at each other? And you know how significant that is? Can you really hate someone or not like someone or dislike someone if you know them? Brene Brown wrote a book, Brave in the Wilderness, I think it's called, or Braving the Wilderness. And she had said, made a great illustration. Now, I'm not going to tell you my political persuasion, so this is just an example. So don't get upset. You could flip the words Democrat and Republican any way you want. It's an example. All Republicans are jerks, and I hate them, except my sister-in-law. She's not like them. You know why? Because I know her. I've taken the time to get to know her. I've looked at her face to face long enough to realize that even though we have disagreements and we don't agree, we can see each other and love each other because we know each other. And you can take it the other way and say, oh, the Democrats are blah, 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 except this one who's a Republican because I know him or her, right? And to have church in a way, in worship, where you're fully and extravagantly giving yourselves humbly to God who gave you life, and you're looking across the aisle at people who might not agree with you or you might have had a problem with in the past, and you're there and you're looking at them and you're saying, I'm just lucky to be here. How can I hate them? They're lucky to be here too. And we're recognizing that we're sinners. They're not perfect and I'm not perfect. And then we do the time of greeting where you get to walk around and say hi, and you should be intentionally heading for those people that you have a problem with. Because you just tend to love people you know. And that's part of worship. So I think I covered it for you. What is worship? Coming extravagantly with all that you are, humbly with love to God, who gives you life, who loves you like no other, who forgives you. How do we worship? We sing, we pray, we offer. We do the spiritual disciplines that grow us. And why do we worship? Now check this out. If you've been here for a while, I have a Planet Fitness membership. I love Planet Fitness because it's a judgment-free zone. And they have a donut and pizza day. No, but they have grape Tootsie Rolls on the way out that are fantastic. And if you get a technique down pat, you can get the people at the desk distracted to look away long enough where you can get a whole handful of them. Because even though it's a non-judgment zone, I might get a little judgment with a whole handful of those. I can go to the gym and check the box that I went to the gym on pizza day just for the pizza slice. And it's a double blessing. I get dinner, and I get to feel good for a little bit because I went to the gym, which is a goal of mine, to go to the gym. They have donuts in the morning and bagels with cream cheese. And if you go at the right time, the cream cheese is softened up just enough that you can get extra on there. Am I revealing too much? Or you're all just going to sign up for Planet Fitness? And it's really bad when you're on the treadmill with a donut. But if anybody looks at me funny, I just point to the sign, the big, huge sign on the wall that says judgment-free zone. But it feels good, right? I could go to the gym once or twice a week, hit the donuts and the pizza, and feel good about it. And I could get up here and tell you on Sunday morning, hey, I went to the gym twice this week. It was great.
What's the number on the scale?
Well, it's good.
I don't get on it.
But it's a goal of mine. It feels good, right? But why would you go to the gym? The long-term effects of what I'm doing, even though I check the box, aren't there. Do you ever come to church just to check the box? You get free coffee. Sometimes you get snacks out there. It's like we should put a sign out, judgment-free zone. But you can, right? You've come to church. I shouldn't say you. I've come to church sometimes just to check the box. And if I want to be totally honest with you, I've stood in the pulpit some Sundays because I had to, not because I wanted to. Just checking the box. Feels good to say I came to church on Sunday. Some of you are here this morning because you're just checking the box. Some of you are here this morning, and I love you. So, and I'm with you. This isn't judgment. It's just like, let's get real for a moment. Some of you are here because you had a job to do this morning at church, or you're in leadership, and you just need to check the box. And you come because if nobody else shows up, then who's going to do that job? It's okay. Sometimes you have to do the habit and check the box because the alternative is worse. But that's not what worship is. Any more than it's me going to the gym for the Tootsie Rolls or the donuts or the pizza. How do we worship? We worship with all that we are. We come and we bless God the best way we can. We offer extravagant love and gifts and offering and attention and singing too. That's what worship is. And when we come and we show up, and it's not just checking the box. Bless you. Here's my problem with the gym. We'll go back to the gym real quick. I'll go to the gym and I'll put everything into it for like 3 or 4 days. And I'll get on the scale and I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, don't need to go back for 2 weeks. Does that work? It does if you're on yo-yo, right? So then I'm eating donuts and chocolate and ice cream so that I can get back to, not gym quality, so I can go back in 2 weeks and play that game. But that's not what it's about. It's about life. We're here living life together. And here it is. Spirituality is 10 times better than the gym. For so many reasons. I'm already over where I want it to be time-wise, so I don't want to give you the litany of reasons. But if I go to the gym and I give myself to the program, eventually I start to see results. And if you're coming to worship on a weekly basis, and you're not checking the box, and you're not here for the coffee or the friends, like it's not a social club. If you're here for worship, if you come and you give yourself extravagantly to God during this time, I know, and some of you can testify to this. When you're doing it, when you're working the program, what happens? You see huge blessing, right? Life changes. The way you see life changes. The way you experience everything changes. Just like the disciples who thought Jesus was dead. Did you ever cower? Did you ever not want to face something? Did you ever not, it's too hard, it's too this, it's too that, I'm not going to do it? When you come to church and you're reminded that Jesus can conquer anything, even death, and God has placed in you a spirit that can lift you more powerfully than you can even imagine. When you're in that place and you're reminded of that and you come humbly before God and say, God, please, I want that. God starts to activate and change everything. And you go from cowering about things to boldly conquering things. All because God created you and loves you and has a purpose for you. And Jesus Christ is the exclamation point on that. So we're going to come to the last song. What's the last song? This is Amazing Grace. Good song. You can listen to a lot of this stuff on 99.1 if you listen to the radio anymore. But if not, whatever music thing you do, try the Christian channel and you'll start to hear these tunes. And then you'll start to know them. Because that's what we do at this service. The early service, you got to steal one of the hymnals over here and you can start reading them as you go to bed at night. And you'll be incredibly blessed by the powerful words of the old hymn writers. It's all good, whatever your flavor. But just in the next few moments, bring yourself fully to God, extravagantly worshiping Him.